Okay, so here on the homework practice, let's do this one together. They've stated the given, and I even tell you, ooh, it might take 6 steps-ish, right around. So we're gonna start with this. Don't write too big, because it's gonna take 6 steps. So over here are the statements, and here are the reasons. So statement number 1, what do we always start with? So basically, 2 intersecting lines, measure of angle 1 equals 6x plus 45, and the measure of angle 3 equals 9x plus 15. That is our given. That's the stuff that they told us. We know that for sure because that's what they gave us. And if you want to, go over here and write, 6x plus 45 and 9x plus 15. You can. All right, so we want to prove that x is equal to 10. How are we going to do that?
Wait, how do you get 15?
Because the measure of angle 3 equals 9x plus 15. I just put 9x plus 15 over there for angle 3.
Doesn't that say angle 1?
Yeah, sorry. Measure of angle 1 equals 6x plus 45, and the measure of angle 3 equals 9x plus 15. Did I do it wrong? Did I write it wrong?
Yeah, sure. You did. I hope it's right, so I don't have to write it all.
All right. So, does anybody know our first step? I can't do substitution. I haven't written an equation yet. Put the things in where? But I need an equation first. I know exactly where you're thinking, Caitlin, and you're right there, but I need a step first. What'd you say, Jamie? Nope, not quite. How do I know that the measure of angle 1 is equal to the measure of angle 3? Bingo, right there. Now, I wrote definition of vertical angles, but honestly, if you were doing this and you just wrote vertical angles, I would be happy with that, okay? So now, Caitlin, I have an equation. Now we can substitute something in, right? So now instead of the measure of angle 1, we are going to replace that with 6x plus 45. And instead of the measure of angle 3, we can replace that with 9x plus 15. And what's our reason? Substitution. Okay, now if I need to I need to find that or show that x equals 10, basically, guys, we just have to do some algebra here and solve for x. So what would the first, and here's where yours might differ from somebody else's, because you may not do it in the exact same order. Subtract what? Okay, so if I subtracted 6x from both sides, I'd get 45 over here and 3x plus 15 over here. So that would be the property of equality. Very good. Now what's the next thing we do in algebra? And how would we do that? Subtract it, right? So what's 45 take away 15? So now my equation is just 30 equals 3x. And guess what? That's the same thing, isn't it? First I subtracted 6x from both sides, then I subtracted 15 from both sides. What is left? So divide by 3, right? And we get 10 equals x, or x equals 10, right? And you already said it. It's the division property of equality. How'd that one feel? Long, right? Yeah. You will never have to do one all by yourself like this. I would never give you a question with a big blank space and make you write it all by yourself. I'm going to give you something already filled in, and you'll have blanks to fill in. Okay? Well, we'll see what we have for time. All right. All right. Thank you for the update, Tyler. I appreciate that, fella. All right. Here we go. So statements, reasons, and again, I said expect 6, but I think I've done this one in 5 before, so it just depends here. So, what do we start with?
1.
You're right, number 1. Okay, so angle 1 and angle 2 are linear pair, and the measure of angle 1 equals 120. Okay? You can see that they are a linear pair. Angle 1 and angle 2 together make a straight line. That is what it means to be a linear pair. What does that mean for their angles? They're not the same. If they make a straight line, what can you tell me? All right. So what can I write then if I know that they're supplementary? Measure of angle 1 plus measure of angle 2 equals 180 degrees. Definition of supplementary. If you wrote supplementary angles, I'd be okay with that. Okay? Anybody know where we're going next? We got to show, by the way, I don't know if I said the prove statement, that angle 2 is acute. What does that mean? Less than 90. Okay. Basically, I got to find out what angle 2 is, right? Okay. How are we going to do that? What are we substituting? 1 is 120. So I'm going to write 120 degrees plus the measure of angle 2 equals 180 degrees. And that is substitution. Just make sure, notice I abbreviated that, but make sure I can tell the difference between substitution and subtraction, because they're very similar words. Okay? Now what? Hey, guess what? How'd I do that? I subtracted 180, or sorry, I subtracted 120 from both sides. What was that? Do you? If the measure of angle 2 is 60 degrees, can't I say that angle 2 is acute? How do we know that angle 2 is acute? Because it's less than 80. So I'm going to say angle 2 is acute. And my reason is because that is the definition of acute angle. What it means to be an acute angle is that it's less than 90 degrees. 60 is less than 90 degrees, so I can say it's an acute angle. Definition of acute angles, or angle. Now, some people, some teachers may have required a step in here that I kind of went over. I kind of jumped over it. And right here, I should have said that 1 and 2 are a linear pair. So I probably should have said, I'm going to put this in parentheses, you don't have to put it in there. Angle 1 and angle 2 are supplementary. And that would have been the definition of a linear pair. But, and that's why up here it says expect 6 steps and I only did it in 5, because I kind of include that supplementary in as one step, okay? All right, so that's all for today.